Hello. The purpose of this video is to learn how to solve two-step equations. Earlier in the lesson, we had gone over the examples, so I'm just going to be focusing on the exercises in this video. So I'm going to skip the first couple questions and I'll just jump right to the exercise number 1. So in the directions, it says solve the following two-step equations using the properties of equality. Evaluate the expressions to determine if your answers make the equation true. So there's two parts. So we're going to solve, meaning we're going to figure out what P represents as a number. And then we are going to evaluate. And I just want to make sure we're clear on this. I'm not using the word check because technically this is not considered a formal check. However, we can use this strategy to see if the answer we got is correct. So it works similar to a check. So let's start with the solving aspect. So we discussed some vocabulary leading up to this lesson. One of the things we discussed was a constant is the number that's being added to your variable. And that's important to understand because when you're solving equations, the first thing you should do is get rid of your constant, and then you'll get rid of your coefficient. So in this case, your constant is -7. The reason why it's -7 is because I'm subtracting 7. If I was adding 7, it would be a positive constant, but because I'm subtracting 7, it's considered a negative constant. So I need to use the inverse operation to solve for P. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. One thing that I want to make sure I emphasize early on is making sure that your numbers are lined up. Try to write as neatly as possible. The big mistake that people make with equations is just writing numbers sort of sloppily. And then, if you can't read your own handwriting, it's very easy to get lost in your work. So here's what happens. I'm looking at the green first. So I have -7 plus 7. So the idea behind using the inverse operation is to make the numbers cancel out. -7 plus 7 is technically equal to 0. So in the end, you end up with, on the left side of the equal sign, -9p plus 0. But we don't need to bother writing plus 0 because it's equal to -9p, right? -9p plus 0 is -9p. So there isn't a reason to write down plus 0 because it doesn't change our problem at all. And then in yellow, I have 11 plus 7, which is equal to 18. All right. The next step is to get rid of our coefficient, which is the number that's being multiplied by your variable. So in this case, our coefficient is -9. And the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by -9. Oop, I forgot my negative sign. Okay, so -9 divided by -9, that's equal to 1. So you're left with technically 1 times p on the left side of your equal sign. 1 times p is just p. So again, we don't need to write that number. We don't need to write the number 1. So p is on the left side, and then over here, let's highlight that in orange, we have 18 divided by -9. That I still need to calculate. 18 divided by -9 is equal to -2. So I know I'm done solving because I don't have any other numbers or operations on the same side of the equal sign as my variable. So I'm left with p is equal to -2. So that should be my final answer. Now I'm going to go evaluate my expression just to see if I got the answer I'm really looking for. So the first thing we want to do when we evaluate is replace the variable with the number that we calculated. So in our case, we're saying that p is equal to -2. So in other words, -9 times -2. Because you have a product, you want to write that in parentheses. So -2 is in parentheses, minus 7. Okay, so when we evaluate, we're working in a different direction in order of operations. So when you evaluate, you need to multiply first, and then you can subtract. So I have to start with multiplying -9 times -2. So -9 times -2, that's positive 18. And I'm going to copy down the rest of my problem. So I have minus 7. So I have my new problem is 18 take away 7, which is equal to 11. So why did we evaluate? Again, let's go back to our original problem. So we have, I'm going to highlight that in a pretty blue. This is my expression here. -9 times p minus 7. That's my expression. So they said my expression is equal to 11. And they said, sorry, that was supposed to be a highlighter. They said, find the number, find p, find the number for p so that my outcome is 11. Well, we found p and we evaluated and we got 11. So I know that I got the correct answer because after evaluating, I got the number that they asked for in our equation. So in conclusion, p is equal to -2, and we can say that with confidence. So again, that's why I love equations. I know I've said this before, but it's nice to know that you've gotten an answer right. So let's go on to question B on the next page. So we are asked to solve, so we have 5 times y plus 4 is equal to 24. So we're trying to get y by itself. So there's two numbers we have to get rid of. We have to get rid of the number 4. That's a positive 4. And we also have to get rid of the number 5. So that's a two-step equation here. So we'll start with 4. So 4 is being added. So the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So we will subtract 4 on both sides. Try to get those numbers to line up. So 4 minus 4, the numbers in yellow are going to cancel out. And then we have 24 minus 4 as well. So we want to make sure that whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we also do to the other side of the equal sign, because otherwise you wouldn't have equality without that. So 4 minus 4, I always like to draw these lines. 4 minus 4 is 0. So on the left side of the equal sign, you're left with 5 times y is equal to 20. 24 minus 4, I'm looking in the green part right here. 24 minus 4 is equal to 20. Okay, so now we can get rid of our number 5. So you'll notice 5 is being multiplied by y. So we are going to divide both sides by 5, right? Multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other, so that's why they cancel out. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so you're left with 1y on the left side of the equal sign is equal to 20 divided by 5, which, by the way, is equal to 4. 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. So that's my final answer. Y is equal to 4. Fabulous. All right, so we're going to evaluate just to see if our answer is right. So instead of writing y, we will substitute, we'll replace that with the number 4. So 5 times 4 plus 4 is my expression. Again, notice that I have parentheses around the numbers that are being multiplied together. So 5 times 4, that's equal to 20. And I'll copy the rest of my expression down. So I have an addition sign, and I also have the number 4. So I have 20 plus 4. And that, 20 plus 4, that's equal to 24. Now you'll notice I'm not circling the number that I evaluated. The reason for that is because that's not my answer. My answer is y equals 4. 24 is the number that I should get if I've evaluated correctly. And I know that because if you go back to your equation, they said this expression, 5y plus 4, is equal to a number. In this case, it's equal to 24, which is what we got. They said 5y plus 4 is equal to 24 with a certain number. So in this case, we found that when y is equal to 4, our expression is equal to 24. And that's the number that we were supposed to get according to our equation. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's look at question C. This tends to be a question that confuses us. So when we have a fraction, that just means that your number is being divided. And we know the inverse operation of division. So this is not quite as scary as it seems at first. All right, so when we solve, the problem is x divided by 2 minus 6 equals 24. So when we solve, of course, we always have to start with addition or subtraction. So we need to get rid of subtracting 6 first. So the inverse operation of subtracting 6 is adding 6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So the numbers in yellow are going to cancel out. Negative 6 plus 6. By the way, I said negative 6. Reason being, if you subtract, that's the same as adding the opposite, right? So instead of subtracting 6, I'm adding negative 6 in my equation. So I have negative 6 in yellow, and I'm adding 6 to that. So negative 6 plus positive 6. So negative 6 is here, positive 6 is here. So negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So they cancel each other out. Okay, and then over here, we have 24 plus 6. All right, so what are we left with here when this happens? So we have x divided by 2 on the left side of the equal sign. And then if I add the numbers in pink, 24 plus 6 is equal to 30. So that's what we get. The inverse operation of division. Remember, this symbol here means that I'm dividing. So x divided by 2. The inverse operation of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And when I do that, 2 divided by 2, that's 1. So I'm left with 1x on the left side of the equal sign is equal to 30 times 2 is equal to 60. So that's my final answer. X equals 60. All right, let's evaluate. So instead of x, I will write the number 60. So I have 60 over 2 minus 6. Division comes before subtraction when I evaluate. So 60 divided by 2, that's equal to 30. So I have 30 minus 6. Okay, so that's still, I have more work to do here. So 30 minus 6 is equal to 24. So I know that I got the correct answer because that's the number I was supposed to get. So when x is 60, our expression is equal to 24. All right, so final answer, x equals 60. Okay, next page. So question D, I don't have the titles here, but it's still expected for you to solve and check the solutions. Ordinarily, on a homework assignment or on a quiz, I'm not going to have solve and evaluate on your papers. So I wanted to have a combination of some setup for you as well as some questions where you had to set up the problem yourself. So that way you could sort of get into that routine in the notes. Okay, so let's solve first. So we have k divided by 4 plus 18 is equal to 56. So the inverse operation of adding 18 would be subtracting 18. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides of the equal sign. So the numbers that are highlighted in orange are going to cancel out. 18 take away 18 is 0. And over here, I have 56 minus 18, so we'll calculate that too. Okay, so 18 minus 18, that's 0. So on the left side of the equal sign, you're left with k divided by 4 is equal to 56 minus 18 is equal to 38. And then the inverse operation of, because this guy right here, this is technically divided by 4, right? So the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So you're left with k is equal to, and then over here, there's still some simplifying. I have to multiply. This is 38 times 4, which by the way is equal to 152. So k is equal to 152. All right, so that's our solving work. Now we're going to evaluate over here. If I'm moving too fast, of course, you can always pause or rewind. Okay, so I'm just going to look at, I'm copying down the expression. The expression is k divided by 4 plus 18. And they are saying that if we evaluate this, we should get 56. So instead of k, I will replace that with the number 152. So 152 divided by 4 plus 18. When we evaluate, division comes before addition. So 152 divided by 4, that's equal to 38. So we have 38 plus 18. And 38 plus 18 is equal to 56. Sorry about that. I have a message that just popped up. Okay. So when we evaluated, we got the number that we were supposed to. So yes, my answer is k equals 152. All right, I just have one more problem. So for question E, we have negative 8 times m minus 12 is equal to 60. So let me write that down. Negative 8 times m minus 12 is equal to 60. All right, so the inverse operation of subtracting 12 is addition. So we will add 12 to both sides. So plus 12, plus 12. You're going to notice that with equations, after a while, it seems super redundant. So once you get a lot of practice in, you're like, oh my gosh, I've already done this problem before. Different numbers, but same process. Okay, so negative 12 plus 12 is 0. I know that constant that's highlighted in yellow, this number is negative 12. I know that it's negative because I'm subtracting, right? We talked about that. So negative 12 plus 12 is 0. So you're left with negative 8 times m on the left side, and that's equal to 72. I'm looking at the numbers in green. 60 plus 12 is 72. And now I can divide. So I'm dividing both sides by negative 8. So negative 8 divided by negative 8 is 1. So I need to scroll down a little bit more, I guess. So negative 8 divided by negative 8, as I said, is 1. So these guys cancel out. So we're just left with 1m. So m, oh, I think my board might be frozen. So m is equal to negative 9. 72 divided by negative 8 is negative 9. All right, we're on the final step, which is evaluate. So negative 8 times m minus 12, that's my expression. So instead of m, we're going to replace that with the number. So negative 8 times negative 9. Please include those numbers in parentheses. So negative 8 times negative 9 is positive 72. And then copy down the rest of the problem, minus 12. 72 minus 12 is equal to 60. So if I look back at my equation, this is my expression. I meant to highlight that. Oops. Go back. Okay. So my expression is negative 8m minus 12. And I was supposed to get 60 after evaluating. So I got 60. So that means that I must have found the correct m. So m is equal to negative 9. So in other words, this expression here, negative 8 times m minus 12, that's equal to 60 specifically when m is equal to negative 9. So I know this was a really long video and I apologize. These questions are pretty in-depth and I didn't want to rush through these for those people that really wanted me to walk through each of these problems with them. So I appreciate you watching these videos and I hope that you found this helpful. And as always, ask for help or rewatch the video if you need to make sense of this, because I know that two-step equations is a super challenging topic and it's new for you guys. So I want you guys to really get a good concrete understanding of these problems. All right, that's all for now. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.